Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome to episode 30. If you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad that you found us over here at Lead Loving Life. And if you're returning, thanks for coming back. I love hearing from you and knowing that you're out there receiving the messages that I'm leaving for you and getting inspired. I love hearing that you're getting inspired and that you're looking deeper into things. That really fills my heart. So thank you for all of that. Welcome to episode 30, like I said, and today we are going to talk about why it's important for women to be leaders and why we need women's leadership now, more than ever, as I say a lot these days. I just want to give a little background to today's episode. Here at Lead Loving Life, I'm a women's leadership business consultant and coach and strategist. And podcasting is one of the things that I love to do in support of growing women leaders and connecting to women around the world, which is my personal mission statement is to make impact on women and women leaders all around the world. So it is very important to me for us to understand, us as women, to understand our strengths and our uniqueness as it comes to, as it relates to leadership. We typically, again, these are generalizations and they are based on observation, experience, and research and data. So, women in general can hold more things at a time in their space, if you will. Think multitasking and doing multiple things at a time. We tend to see things from a bigger picture perspective in a holistic way instead of looking at the black and white either or perspective. We often have a way of looking at things that is more inclusive and more connected, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is running companies, for example, when you're making a decision, and as a CEO, an entrepreneur, as a community leader, as someone that's running a household, you have to make decisions, and sometimes you have to make them in a short amount of time. And being able to quickly and as accurately as possible assess the impact is a skill that is very important. And we can navigate that by pulling together pieces of information and potential impact areas from all parts of our lives, all parts of our businesses, and all parts of our organizations in a way that is accessible to us. And that's important in assessing the longer term impact of a decision and the shorter term impact. There are some decisions you have to make on the spot, crisis management kind of decision making. And that happens. And then there are opportunities for a little bit more thought in the process. And then there are opportunities for strategic thinking. And all of those require different levels of skills. And the best women leaders can make a decision on the spot, quickly running through the elements of impact in the longer run of the impact of this decision. So I encourage you to reflect on your skill set and reflect on when you have made a decision and what it has looked like in terms of impact, and then how you went about that decision making. Did you find it easy to pull this information and the data points together in your head or through your notes or through discussions? And file that away and keep it there in your file cabinet in your brain for future use, and know that that is an important skill that you have. One of the other things that women do very, very well is collaborate and seek input when we need to have more information. And when we're working on a project, we typically will pull together teams of people that have different perspectives in the most healthy of situations, right? We want people to have different perspectives so that we can all work together to present different elements of the same situation so that we could all discuss and put our ideas on the table and our perspectives into the equation of whatever the discussion is. And it's so important. And even now for us older leaders, and that's a whole other podcast episode about being, an elder in the field of leadership and any field. And we'll have a whole episode and more on that because it is um, very important. But having people of different generations as well. A lot of work that I do in companies and with leaders, the companies and the businesses that they're running have multiple generations, right? You have people that are in some extreme cases, we still have the silent generation in some companies, and then we have Gen Z and everyone in between. So being able to have women from different generations changes the conversation in the best way. It's not always comfortable, especially for people that are used to looking at things from a stereotypical perspective. It is so exciting, though, to be able to get the different perspectives and why they have those perspectives because for me, I love it because it makes me think differently. Makes me think more expansive. In my girls, I have a millennial, barely a millennial, and a Gen Z, and I love it because I learn from them. And it is so important to me to be able to understand that. And it helps me be a better human first and a better leader. And as a consultant going into companies and working with other leaders, having the same expanse of generations in their companies and businesses, it's really important. So one of the things that we do well as women is be open to that and be open to the collaboration. And I also encourage you to file that away for future thinking. Where have you collaborated well? And what has that felt like, look like, and the impact been? And then what made it more successful? What made it rise to the top of your thought process when I brought up the subject? Why did this particular collaboration rise to the surface? So the collaboration piece of it is so important. It is the way that we are going to move forward in the future. It is the way that we are going to make big moves and make the impact that we are here to make. We're not here to play small, and we together can make a bigger impact together. Another item that women do, or that women could do very well, another thing that we do very well, is work collectively. And so it's a little bit different than collaboration. Collaboration, I think of it collaboration as internal and external to some extent. But as a collective, we create movements, if you will. And even within a business, whether it's our movement as a business, as a way that we are out in the world, or whether it is a movement within our own company that we are running, or business we're running, or a company that we're working for, right? We want our projects and our impact and the things that we are doing in the world to become so infused into our society, into our company, into the way of being that we want it to feel like a movement. We want people to be so connected to it and bought into it that they share it with others, not only from a sales perspective, because that is one of the elements, it is also for the impact, right? Most of the people that listen to this podcast are about impact and about change and about their way of being in the world, where whatever their background is, whether they're running companies, they have businesses, whatever the background is, it's about being present and making an impact. So this collective piece of it is very important as well. And as women, we have the opportunity to gather and encourage and inspire and bring together other people. So it's the other two pieces combined help provide infrastructure and vision and momentum to the collective, right? It's being able to see different elements of life and business and put them together, and then collaborating with people internally and externally to add sustenance and sustainability and energy to this collective slash movement that we are building. And all of those elements together up level our opportunity for leadership and being a high level, top notch leader. And I know these things may sound a little abstract. I encourage you to think just a little bit about some examples in your lives and in your work and in your businesses. When has a project that you have taken on become like that, become a movement, become so powerful that, it gets a name, it gets an energy all of its own? And what made that successful? And how do you up level and replicate those things? Because that is where we go next, right? We are creating the foundation. We are being leaders in our own right and for our own purposes and for the impact we are making. And these are just three examples of critical elements of women in leadership and why they're important. There are many more. Just giving you a little tidbit on today's episode. I feel like, there's so much joy right now. We're in the Olympic season. I'm recording this in the Olympic season, and there's so much joy with women getting medals in the Olympics. And, for me, I just love it. I love watching people, whether it's Olympics, whether it's a musician performing, whether it's a writer, whatever their passion is, whatever women's passions are, letting them, letting that shine just overflow and seeing them in their passion brings me to tears every single time. I watched some of the medal performances on repeat, tears, tears, tears of joy, of inspiration, of connection. And that is one element of this leadership. We need women leaders to help to serve up the message that joy is not only okay, that it is necessary. And by using some of the skills that I have listed so far in today's episode, that's part of it, right? We are leaning in and trusting ourselves. We are pulling together pieces. We are collaborating. We're creating collectives and movements. And parts of that have to be joyful, or it gets lost. The messaging gets lost. The impact gets lost. It gets muddled. The energy of joy coupled with impact and inspiration is an unbeatable combination. I mean, go back and look at some of those moments from the Olympics if you need a little boost of joy, and go back to your latest success or a success or a challenge that help you navigate the next success differently, and lean into your strengths, as a human, your strengths as a leader, and think about women that have led you in the past, people that have led you on your path, people that lead you and guide you now that help you stay connected to all of those things and more as a leader. And tap into it and remember, women leaders are powerful. We are powerful. We are needed now more than ever. It is your time to step out and step up. I sent that out in my newsletter last week, and it is the truth. Step up, step out. Step up, step out. It's not a time to play small. It's not a time to abandon yourself and your purpose. It is a time to go all in. We have young Olympians showing us how much joy makes a difference and how much hard work and dedication and presence makes a difference all across the ages. I want you to remember your power. And I want you to remember that you are worth it. You are worthy. You are needed. And I want you to know that I'm here cheering you on. Listen to this podcast anytime you need a, a bump up, anytime you need a little burst of inspiration, because you know I'm always here cheering for you wherever you are. So, beautiful souls, thanks for tuning in again to this episode. Please, 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 you know my mission is about making a positive impact on women and girls. Share this episode. Review, rate, share, watch, all of the things, please. That helps me. You know, it helps the algorithm and it helps my podcast get exposure and helps me get to the right women, gets me to the right people. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for being here. And I will be here for next episode. Big love. And you know, you're making a difference. And I'm so grateful for that.